I always said I wanted to aspire to be one of the great leaders of our world. And to do that, I believe it's, mentoring, being mentored by, learning from those leaders who are also the best and who are living that reality.
If desire reveals design and design reveals destiny, the lingering question is then this: how can you transform so that the reality in your mind reconciles with the one outside of it? What needs to take place so that you can get clarity on your life story? Enter the conversation you've always been in. My name is Daniel Bay, and welcome to Transformation Theory. This podcast will give you the answers. Well, hello, Nadene Joy. Such a pleasure to connect with you. I've been secretly following you for quite some time, and I was like, at some point I need to get this amazing woman on my show and to kind of talk about her experiences and the amazing things that she's been able to accomplish over the last few years or so. And so, welcome to the show. A pleasure to have you. Just have a quick conversation with me.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here today.
Your story is quite remarkable. I was peeking through your LinkedIn profile and I noticed that you are quite accomplished. I'm just going to quickly just share a few things that I read there. You're an executive leadership advisor, CEO of the Nadene Joy consulting company. You're a speaker, a CEC global ambassador, chair of the Lead to Impact Summit, chair of the Canada Africa Network. You've been featured in the USA Today and author, and the list goes on and on and on. When I was reading your bio, and I was thinking to myself, how do you have time to do all this? Is this something that happened just out of the blue, or is this a gradual items that you've been kind of doing over the years?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I believe, what I've done, where I've been, opportunities that have came about, people that I've met, has all been a gradual process. I don't believe, we become, instantaneous, become super successful overnight. I believe it comes with a lot of hard work. It comes with a lot of dedication, perseverance, commitment, all these other things on top of, taking action upon, your intuition or the guidance that you're receiving and being able to put it in action, right? There's so many people out there, that have dreams and have visions and, they have this destiny they want to achieve, but they never take action upon it. So the biggest thing that I learned, even when I was 4 years old from my great grandfather who died when he was 106 years old, was to take action and to always, live your life in kindness to others. And, when you give to others, you get it back in return, tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And it's not that you give to get, you're giving because you legitimately care about people and you care about their wellness. You care about, them being successful, sometimes more than you care about your own self, rising up, because I actually don't like the spotlight. I never have. I was a very shy child growing up. So it's definitely it wasn't something that came naturally to me whatsoever. It was something that I felt needed to be shared with the world to help through my story, through the messages, through the things that I've learned and the other people I've worked with, to be able to share that wisdom and impart that wisdom on other people in the world so it can help them also do the same or even more, even better.
Amazing. Now, you spoke a lot about your background and in your upbringing, and I'm curious for you to become the woman that you've become today and a leader and a change maker, as you put it, to be a lot of people who influenced you and supported you along the way. So tell me a little bit about your background. Were you born in Saskatchewan, raised here? And what was your upbringing like? And to instill a sense of confidence and a sense of belonging and a sense of you can achieve a lot in this world.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna go back to my childhood because the first person who comes to mind is my mother, and I've actually never talked about my mom on an interview before, but it's just coming up to share because she's always instilled in me, not only as a woman but as a individual in society that. You can do anything you put your mind to if you believe in yourself and if you have faith, right? And you believe in something greater than who you are, right? That there's something greater out there that has your back, which for me, I'm a person of faith. So that's always been my faith in God and trust and surrender in that and not controlling outcomes of anything, right? Completely letting go of outcomes. So my mom, I would say, is my first, and my great grandfather, who I've already mentioned, who had written, thousands of letters to people in prisons and bringing, a bunch of people to faith and to just inspiring people all over the world. Even, I was only 4 years old when he passed, but I remember that seed that was planted so deeply inside of me, sitting beside his bed with this big, long prayer list that he had of, probably thousands. I don't know. At the time, it looked like thousands. I don't know what it was for as a 4-year-old, but there's many people that he constantly, prayed for and would support in ways that, he never even met them, right? Most of them, he never met them, didn't know who they were, but they would write to them. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with all the people who have extended, kindness and wisdom and, taken that step and believed in me before, I even believed in myself, because there was times of doubt. There was times where I didn't think I would make it. I would be able to do it and I would be able to succeed, because I was terrified. And even number one of public speaking, I couldn't even speak up in class as a young child, terrified, right? Just shaking. Teacher would ask me a question and I would sit there with a blank look on my face because I was so afraid to say the wrong thing and to be judged. And that I would be, I'd be criticized for what I said in the end. So there's, like I said, many people. I don't even know where to start. Like I know, like John Maxwell, we talked a little bit about that. He's was one of I always said I wanted to aspire to be one of the great leaders of our world. And to do that, I believe it's, mentoring, being mentored by, learning from those leaders who are also the best and who are living that reality. And so I got certified. I met John Maxwell several times. Brett Figueroa is another great friend of mine. He was Tony Robbins' best man at his wedding. He's a phenomenal individual. He actually stepped in at a pivotal point in my life where I didn't think I could move forward to the next level. I was terrified. Fear came in, the lies of the enemy that come in. And he came in and inspired me like nobody else had been able to, and anybody I'd worked with. So like I said, there's probably, dozens and dozens. And like I said, it's very difficult to name all of them because there's so many. And I've just been so blessed to be able to have the opportunity to work with so many incredible, heartfelt leaders who care, who give back to so many other people and who are doing amazing things in the world.
As you mentioned, there's a list of people you could potentially mention, but, it comes down to, just being open to being willing to be mentored, and it sounds like, your journey has been filled with a lot of people who spoke into your life and encourage you to become who you've become. But just as you were talking there, I noticed you referenced, God quite a bit, and you referenced your relationship with him. And has God been a pivotal influence in your life as well? What's your relationship with God like, and how does he play a part in your journey as a world leader?
Yeah. And I actually, my career where I started my journey of life was as a geologist. I worked as an exploration geologist within an oil company. And I was a workaholic. I didn't feel like I was helping anybody. I loved what I did. I absolutely adored the people that, the leadership team I worked with was phenomenal. I got to learn so many things at a very young age that I never would have had the opportunity to otherwise. But there was a gap. There was this, part of me that did not feel fulfilled and wasn't happy because I wasn't helping people. So, and in that journey, I guess, so to speak, up until I was, 28 years old, I worked, basically driven by societal success, driven by titles, driven by, you have to, cross these things off your list, check these boxes in order to be successful. And in order to be successful, you have to do, if you don't do those things, then you're not successful, which is again, a lie. It's not the truth of how reality actually works. But it's this perception that many of us, including myself, grow up to believe that, in order to do something or to be respected in society, so to speak, at a certain level, you have to be able to have achieved certain things. And that's so far from the truth because there's so many people who have achieved so much with not even having a grade 12 education. But my journey, going back to your question, my journey as a geologist, I had become a workaholic. My relationship with God had suffered. I kind of lost my relationship during that time. And when I woke up at 28 years old, I was so sick I couldn't even get out of bed. I was forced to retire my career at 28 years old. And I remember a moment laying on my bathroom floor where I was so sick that I didn't think I was going to make it. The next day, I was down to 90 pounds, literally skin and bones. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. And it was a 1.5-year journey of getting better and trying to figure out for myself, what I needed to do to change my life, to change the way I was thinking, to change my relationship with God, to change every part of my life in that moment changed. And I brought back, my gifts that I had been given that God showed me in prayer when I was 4 years old that I repressed because I felt different. And it wasn't until I got sick and almost lost my life that I was able to step into all of the gifts that I had been given and honor the differences as strengths versus looking at them as weaknesses, and that they're shunned by other people on the outside world, and realizing that the people I was around were different from me in a way for a reason, because they didn't have the mission that God had placed in my heart. And that was always been a very big mission to impact many lives in our world. So yeah, long story short to your question is yes, God has played an instrumental role in my life. And at that moment at 28 years old, my life completely changed. My relationship with God, deepened, and it's only gotten every moment of every day, it continues to become closer, more deepened, a deeper level of surrender, of trust, of, living for God's kingdom here on earth. And that's why I'm here, to be his obedient servant. And anything that I do is all of God. I have a prayer routine, meditation practice that I do every morning. I've done it now for 10 years, over 10 years, probably 12 years now. And it's been literally the catapult to every inspiration that I've done, every course I've created, every person I've reached out to, everything that has come into my life has been because of those moments in prayer and what God has spoken to me and confirmed that I need to take action upon. That's going to help a lot of people. And for me, it's always about if God says yes, if God confirms it, I will take action, even if I'm afraid of it, even if I don't feel like I can do that. God always shows up and provides the courage that is needed to take that next step forward. So yes, God is my all. God is my everything. Without God, I would have absolutely nothing. So yes, thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think in life we need convictions, and that's really the engine and the fuel behind our actions in life, right? And so many people, derive it from different things, whether it's inspiration from leaving poverty or achieving great heights, but others is just through their faith, right? And they believe that, hey, you know what, I got a message to share, and that there's something important that I need to live in this world, right? And so it seems like, your relationship with God is key to everything that you are, and I know a lot of people will resonate with it. Faith or a relationship with God is needed in this world, although some recognize it or not, but you do have to have some kind of sense of spirituality, right, to really help you, make sense of the world that we live in. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Especially right now in the world that we're living, that is, so rampant with darkness and chaos and destruction and, corruption of, a lot of our world's leaders, things like that. It's more important now, I would say, than ever before in history to bring forth that, unconditional love and peace and hope and purpose and meaning, right? Why are we here? Why do we wake up in the morning? What is our purpose? Not just for our life, but what is our purpose today? What can we do? What is the one thing we can do today? And that's the biggest thing that all the clients I've worked with around the world is a lot of them just have this sense of hopelessness. Like there's no hope of being here any longer. And it's about stepping into even just choosing one thing every day to move towards, and having that hope is so powerful. Even with mental health right now, I'm a big advocate of mental health and advocacy for suicide prevention, as I lost my father to suicide almost 13 years ago. So it's been a big part of my heart and my journey, and advocating for youth who are suffering, and bringing forth the truth about even what actually is going on inside of them, the lies that they're being told, right? The darkness of the enemy that comes in that, takes them down this downward spiral of not living their truth in them. Like they can't, the doubt that comes in that tells them they aren't able to move forward in what they're being called, right? Maybe what they're being called to do in this life. Yeah.
One thing that I'm really curious to ask you about is you mentioned that at 28 years old, the career that you were building came to a halt due to your health, and that really redirected your path to kind of do the work that you are doing right now. Would you say, I know that was a tragic time in your life, but would you say in some ways it was a gift as well? Because I know a lot of people who are, doing the 9 to 5 and building their career, but obviously are not completely fulfilled in it, but don't know how to change, how to stop it, because they've invested so much money into it. They've invested, obviously thousands of dollars with school and, multiple years, building that career. And it almost feels as though I just can't stop. I got to keep going because, like I said, this is the journey I'm on. But in your case, that seemed to be the journey that you were on as well, is building this career as a geologist. But obviously your health made you rethink and stop everything and really focus on who you felt like you were supposed to be and all the dreams that you had as a child. Would you say it was a gift?
You know what? I'm going to tell you a story about an interview I did a couple months ago. One of the questions they asked me was, looking back on your life and everything you've been through, what's the one thing that you would change? You know what? I thought about that for a second. I'd never been asked that question before. I thought about it for a second, and you know what I thought? I wouldn't change one thing. There's not one thing in my entire life that I would change that I've gone through, because I've learned, so much through each experience I've been through, right? Every single thing I've gone through, especially that, I would call it my rock bottom moment, because it was the worst, moment that I've had in my life. And turned out to be my greatest blessing, because I truly believe, in my heart of hearts, that I would not be doing what I'm doing today if that moment and that pivotal moment in history of my life hadn't have happened. So absolutely, and I call it my greatest blessing that I could have ever been given, even though it was the worst time, that I've ever felt physically speaking. So yes, an absolute blessing.
So in your case, as you mentioned, your physical health had to make you rethink a lot. So what would you say to people who are not necessarily going through what you went through in terms of a physical health challenge, but do feel the same way that you felt, in the sense that, I don't know how to redirect my path and do something that I think is meaningful. What would your advice be to somebody who says, I know I'm supposed to do something different, but I just can't stop because I'm going down this road?
I would say to them to listen to their heart. Honestly, listen to their heart, their intuition, the guidance that they're giving, that gut feeling that they have. Because most times we already know where we're meant to be, and we know if we're in a situation or working at a job that isn't necessarily our passion or our mission. And it doesn't have to be our purpose, but in a position where we enjoy working, where we like spending our time, taking baby steps every day also to do things they love. Even if you are in a full-time job that you don't like, find one thing a day that brings you joy and really makes you happy, sets your heart on fire, would be another thing that I highly, highly recommend. Start focusing on the little steps, moving towards where you want to go. And eventually you'll wake up, a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and you'll look back on your life and you'll say, wow, I can't believe how much has happened and how much more in alignment I feel with who I truly am and why I'm here.
Wow, that's a great answer. And wholeheartedly believe in that. It is about taking baby steps towards who you're meant to be, because I don't believe that we should ever simply stop completely. And sometimes you're forced to, but like I said, but if you don't have the opportunity to simply stop, take baby steps towards it, right? Whether it's, gradually meditating to it and thinking about your goals and your dreams, or writing them down, or, connecting with the right people, and gradually you'll find yourself in the field of interest, or the field that you really feel like, this is what I'm called to do. And that advice really hits home because, like I said, my age group, I know a lot of people, and I have these conversations quite often, about just the lack of fulfillment, the lack of purpose, the lack of, drive, and what needs to happen for us to kind of reshape and refocus our attention to really what we were meant to do. So I appreciate that. So let's dive into a little bit about your body of work. You consider yourself a change maker. That's a powerful statement or powerful word, and the reason why I say that is because a change maker is somebody who wants to influence other people, and you do that in various ways, whether it's through mental health, advocating for that, or whether it's connecting with leaders and so on and so forth. But someone like John Maxwell, how do you, or any of the other individuals that you connect with, how do you end up connecting with them? How do you end up, being in the circle of, great influences? How does that happen for someone like Nadene Joy?
It happens over time. It's not something that, you just wake up and all of a sudden you have, world leaders as your contacts on networks, but it's through trust, right? You build trust and through relationships with people is the most important thing that we can do, no matter what level you're at. And I always say to people, we're all leaders. It doesn't matter what title you have. It doesn't matter, where you're at on the hierarchy according to what society believes you to be. No matter where you're at, you're a leader. You have the ability to impact lives, positively impact lives, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a mom, whether you're a dad, whether you're, the president of the United States, right? We all have this influence over other people, and it's one step at a time, and it's through relationships. It's through building of trust. It's through being authentic, being vulnerable, speaking from your heart, letting people see who you are, letting them know, what your mission is, how you want to help people. When you're in alignment with yourself, and I always say to people I work with and businesses, it's important to have a mission statement for your business, but what about yourself? What is your mission statement for yourself? What are your values? What are your, what is your mission that you want to show and to show up and to be and to be that change in the world? What does that look like for you? And to get clear on that first. And I would say I've done years of, personal development, growth, taking trainings, all of that. And I believe I got very clear first on who I was. And once you're clear on who you are, you raise your frequency to and I call it whatever you want to call it. There's many different names for it. I call it like the Christ consciousness of love or above. You start attracting the other like-minded people who are like you to yourself. And it's almost a magical experience of being able to have people of influence that are just like you, like-minded people, your tribe of people. And I grew up, having a lot of people who weren't on my team, right? A lot of women who didn't believe in me, who were jealous, who had envy. And I thought I was never going to find my team or my tribe of people. Like, to be completely honest with you, there was a long time in my journey that I didn't think they existed. I literally did not think people out there who legitimately wanted to see me succeed and support me existed in the world. And so I always want to give people out there who are listening hope to know that keep believing in yourself, getting very clear on who you want or who you are and what you want in your life, and visualizing that as if it's already happened. Visualizing success today, even if it hasn't physically transpired or manifested into your reality as of yet. Keep believing, keep visualizing, keep having hope, keep moving forward, and just keep moving one day, one step at a time, because it's that catapult, that motivation, the momentum that you bring when you continually do that. If you allow doubt for even one day, even one moment to take over, it'll push you backwards, and you'll be starting over, and you'll be going like upstream. If you ever heard that, you want to be going downstream with the flow, with the current that carries you with it, not going against the stream. So keep moving forward, keep trusting yourself, keep believing. You will get there. I've been there too. I understand where you're at, and I believe in each and every one of you who are listening here today.
Wow, amazing. You spoke about something critical, I think. You mentioned the word tribe. You will find your tribe. That's a word that I don't typically hear a lot in my regular work, but amongst people who are great influences in this world, it seems to be a common word that's circulated quite often. Why is it important to find your tribe? What would you say? Why is it important to find like-minded people? Why can't we simply just, be a part of, everything else that's happening in this world? Why do we have to find people who are like-minded?
So I've had the opportunity to speak with some of the most wealthiest individuals of the world, billionaires, top influencers, leaders, CEOs, and the list goes on and on and on. And the number one thing that I would say that is, in synchronicity with each and every one of them, and the advice that they, gave when I spoke to them, and I'm going to share with you here today, is surround yourself with people who are more successful than you, who are positive influences in the world, and who are at the place where you want to be, because they will inspire you to greatness, to be, to tap into that dormant potential that lies within you that you don't even recognize yourself yet. So your tribe of people, being surrounded by people who believe in you, supporting you, have like-mindedness like you do, is the number one thing that I would tell everybody here. Find a few people that you can, talk to on a regular basis, people that you look up to, like we mentioned John Maxwell a few times, like listen to their podcasts, be immersed in their work, learn what they're doing and how to do that, and start modeling them. Start modeling those successful people that you want to become. That's the greatest way to really move forward and uplift yourself too, especially when you're going through a difficult moment. It's important to be around people who inspire you, who lift you up, who encourage you, who love you, who support you, who really want what's best for you. So absolutely, that is I cannot say that point strong enough. If you don't take anything else away from this talk other than that, remember that your tribe of people, is who you surround yourself with. The top 5 people, take a look on your phone even now, pull out your phone and see the top, last 5 people who texted you. Are they uplifting you, lifting you up? Are they degrading you in some way and making you feel smaller? So we always want to be around those people who lift us up.
Awesome. That's definitely a call to action, is go through your phone right now and take a look at people who you're connecting with and see if they're the type of people that actually motivate you and empower you, or they detractors, as they say, pulling and taking away from you instead. So what an amazing advice. Definitely something that I'm going to do after the show, and thank you for that. I wanted just to shift a little bit of focus and talk a little bit about your book. You are the author of Uncover Your Purpose, Heal and Share Your Gifts with the World. Just the title alone is captivating. And I'm just curious, can you tell me a little bit about how you came about to write this book? And also, obviously, what was your purpose in writing it? What were you trying to aim? Who's your audience and the individuals that you really want this book to speak to? And obviously, at the end, let us know where we can find it.
Definitely. So I actually didn't even want to write the book, to be honest with you. I never saw myself as being an author, as being a writer. I actually never really liked writing, to be honest, my entire life. I actually woke up one morning and in prayer, I heard about 100 times, you need to write a book. 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 I don't know if I've mentioned on, or I don't think I've mentioned here, but I have 4 kids. So I have 4 kids under 13 years old. And the first thing that came to my mind was doubt, right? As most things new that come to our world and we hear that we should be doing, doubt was the first thing, the voices that come up, the lies, who are you to write a book? You've never written anything before. What are you going to write a book about, right? You don't have time. You have 4 kids. When are you're already busy. You work with clients all the time, right? You're not going to have time to be able to do that. Those were the voices that came through my mind when I heard that. So I kind of laughed it off and went about my day. I'm going to share this brief story because it's interesting. I think it's the power of taking action and moving forward and trusting. The first thing I did was I went on Facebook. I think a few minutes later after I heard this, the first post, and no word of a lie, the first post that I saw was saying that somebody looking for, they're a self-publisher, or, if you want to publish a book, we have 2 spots left in this program. If you're interested, send us this message. And by this time, I'm kind of laughing at it now as a joke. So I'm like, I'm going to email them. I'm going to email them. Wow. And I'm going to say, I just woke up, heard I'm supposed to write this book. I have a feeling it's going to help people. No idea what I would even write a book about. That was my email. Like if I was that person on the other line, I would have thought I was some crazy person, like legitimately, right? Yeah. So let it go, right? No outcome, no expectation. That's another lesson in life. Don't have any expectations. Just let it go. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. The next day, get an email back from them saying, yeah, we would love to work with you, help you write this book. So now I'm like, oh, now I got a dilemma. Now I have somebody who's going to help me write a book. And they said, let us know whenever you have a topic, just reach back out and we'll help you move that forward. So I was like, okay, now I got a problem because I don't know what I'd even write a story about. And the next 2 weeks, and again, no word of a lie, about 50 people I had worked with, clients of mine from all around the world, not one of them didn't ask one of these 3 questions. I'm feeling stuck in my life. I don't like my job that I'm working at. I don't know what my purpose is. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And I just looked at, okay, this is something that is a real life problem. And I'd worked with clients based on my own journey of finding my purpose as a geologist and coming into being a coach. I thought, hey, actually, you know what? I think I have some wisdom I can write on this topic. So it's just got woken up actually at 3 a.m. every night for 3 months. And the book was written, published, everything within 3 months of starting and commencing the book. So it was something that happened very quickly. And the wisdom that's in the book is all experiential from clients I've worked with or from my own life. Very powerful. There's, strategies at the end of each chapter that people can take and implement in their life, because I believe it's through experiential learning and doing that we allow change to actually happen. So it was really important for me to write a book where there was actionable steps to take and to move forward. So that's the story of my Uncover Your Purpose, heal and share your gifts with the world.
So you telling me you just felt that you needed to do this and the world almost came and worked in your favor to make it happen. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
It's the miracles, right? When you trust and surrender and let go. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Very inspiring. And I've always felt like I needed to write something. So I'm going to take your advice and just take the steps towards making it happen. So I appreciate that. You talked a lot about your consulting business. You obviously work with all kinds of people who, are looking to refocus and find their purpose, as you mentioned, and just kind of get clarity on who they are and what they're supposed to be. Can you tell me a little bit about your consulting firm, type of clients you work with, and who can, work with you, and how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I actually started my journey as a coach, as a parenting coach. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but I actually started when my son was 3 months old in parenting groups, because I wanted people to help families break the multi-generational patterning that gets passed from one generation to the next. That was the reason. That was my motivation. That was my why for being a coach to begin with. And it catapulted very quickly into, it's not just parents and families, it's everybody who has these negative beliefs, and especially experiences from our past, traumas we've gone through, losses, grief, things that we go through, abuse, whatever that might be, that gets stuck. And we don't recognize how that shows up or blocks us from really living our true potential in life. So I worked as a life coach and then branched out to do business coaching, helping new business and startups, people aligning themselves, who they truly are with their businesses. I've had phenomenal successes, clients going from, next to no clients to people reaching out to them. I teach a lot about magnetic marketing to attract the people to you. You be that change that you want to be in the world, and people will come to you, and just really helping them grow their business. There's a gentleman I worked with that grew his business within 8 months to over $1 million globally, just by, trusting, taking action, moving forward, and being in alignment with who he is. And then I branched out even further to do leadership coaching, which is what I do primarily now. I do still do life coaching. I still do parenting coaching. There's the odd people who reach out to me still wanting parenting coaching. And I believe the skill set that I bring to the table is extremely unique compared to what most people bring to the table, because of the experiences I've gone through, especially of getting sick, getting knocked down. When I started my business, like the quote unquote failures that I went through, that nobody showed up for my first program I launched, I could go on and on and on and on, right? All the things that I learned in my own life and working with and mentoring and asking other successful leaders in the world of what they have done. So working with leaders, advising with leaders, and again, anybody's a leader, I believe, and helping them let go of those blocks that we have that hold us back from, living our, fullest potential that we have, with meaning and purpose and hope and joy and abundance and blessings and, all of these amazing things and joy. How can we create a balanced life and business and still be able to do the things and have the time, right? Be able to teach people a lot about time management. That's a huge thing. People give their time away, give their time for money, like all of these things that are so ingrained in us from society that is not truth. Like, we're here, God put us here to live an abundant, joyful, fulfilling life and enjoy every moment of it, right? We're supposed to be here to have fun and enjoy our lives and spread hope and healing and love to so many other people and in the course of being here, and live our life with no regrets. That's another big thing I hear from a lot of people. And this is maybe most people that come to me, I would say, are in between 30 years old to, I don't know, maybe 55, middle-aged people who are going through, lots of them kind of what society would call a midlife crisis, or trying to figure out why they're here and when, what's their purpose. And they don't want to get to the end of their life with regrets, right? And that's the thing that I've always made right from day one when I started my business, is I wasn't going to do anything if I was going to regret it later on, right? So that's a good question for people to ask. If you're thinking about moving towards something, look at it, on your deathbed, when you're 80, 90 or 100, however many years you're blessed to be here on the earth. Looking back, what I regret not saying yes to that or not saying no to that, and taking that to heart, because I've heard so many people, and I've worked with a lot of people, even my grandfather included, right? Said, live your life, live your dreams. Don't live your life based on everybody else's truth or their dreams for you. Live them for you, on your dreams and what you believe in yourself, and move towards that every single day.
Lots of wisdom packed in a 1 minute or 2 minute answer. And so, wow, I can just tell, anybody who gets a chance to talk to you, you just pound them with wisdom, right? It's nonstop coming out of you. And so, you can tell there's a lot of years of experience behind everything you say. And I'm sure the people that work with you are thankful and grateful to connect with you. And so, just to kind of wrap up, our conversation today, just one last question I wanted to ask you was about just your legacy. When it's all said and done, really, what do you want to be remembered for?
And having 4 kids, honestly, this is the biggest question for my life, is leaving a legacy for my children, being that role model who didn't just talk about doing things, who actually did those things and showed them the way, right? Showed them how it was done, showing them. One example, actually, just this morning that came up, my 12-year-old son said he had a presentation today at school, and he was presenting, I forget what topic it was on. And he said, Mom, I just don't understand, because he's seen me do hundreds of interviews, spoken on, thousands of stages over the past, 12 years since he's been little. I've been doing this work. And he said, Mom, I just don't understand. He said, do you know, most of the people who get up and do their presentations, they're so worried, and then they don't have a good presentation. He said, you know what? I'm not worried at all. I just go up there and I have fun and I enjoy myself. And I was like, yes, that's a legacy for me, because he has watched me do the things that I love and step out of my comfort zone, which was the fear of public speaking, and honor that. And now he's doing that. And to see one of my children, doing something like that they love, and not being afraid of it, that the fear has dissipated completely, is one of the greatest blessings I could have ever asked for. And again, as just this morning, him and I had this conversation. So the one other biggest thing is forming a global movement of hope. And my name, Nadene, actually means hope. That's my name. That's the meaning. That is my mission that God has given me. The legacy that I feel like I will be leaving and am already leaving in many lives is the legacy of hope. And Joy is my middle name. It's my mom's name. So bringing hope and joy, and also love and peace and purpose and so many other things into the world. It would be my greatest, absolute pleasure to bring hope and foster, just this sense of, magical, unlimited possibilities that exist amongst our world and amongst all people, right? Because we're all one, we're all connected through God's love, and we all have that potential in ourselves to be great.
Wow. What a great answer. You summed it all up in a couple sentences, but like I said, very powerful. Leaving a legacy for your kids, but not only that, leaving hope and joy in other people. Amazing. So how can people get a hold of you if anybody wants to work with you, connect with you? Here's your opportunity just to plug, any of your books, plug in anything that you really want to share.
So the best way, you can just go to my website. It's just www.nadenejoy.com, just NADENEJOY.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best place to get a hold of me and to see my most recent projects or, endeavors that I'm working on, and be a part of them. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, not on there as often, but there is, an opportunity to connect more personally on those platforms as well. And I just actually published another book just a few months ago called Love Is, A Guide to the Power of Love. So if you're interested in looking more about that and learning more about the power of God's unconditional love, you can go to www.theloveisbook.ca and check that out. I encourage you to take a look. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me on my email too, Nadene@NadeneJoy.com. I welcome anybody, and my door is always open. I'm here to serve and to help others in whatever way I can.
Well, Nadene, it was a pleasure getting to know you, getting to know your heart, like I said, your mindset, talking a little bit about your accomplishments and your legacy and really your purpose. Thanks a lot for joining me on the show, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.